Hello, so today we're going to be touching up on chapter 2 of statistics, which involves more data collection. So you wanted to know a little bit about the terminology for when you begin doing your own surveys of data. So an observation is a sample member of the people that we're studying, while a variable is going to be a characteristic of that sample. So for example, we might want to take a look at our group of people and see how many people are wearing contact lenses. And so that's going to be a characteristic that we are evaluating within our group. And we can then mark it eyewear to them. So that would be a common example of how we would use that data. So the data is usually referred to as either qualitative or quantitative. Qualitative is going to be more about the qualities of the individual or the products that we're looking at. While quantitative is going to be more about the number of products or the number of individuals that we're surveying. And then qualitative data is often referred to as categorical, while quantitative or quant data is often referred to as numerical type of data. Now, there are different examples or samples that we can use to graph in Excel and do a time series that we can sample over a period of time. Now, if you have Excel open, this is fairly easy to do. All you have to do is go into Excel and you select your data. Here, I'm selecting the data from cells D2 through D10, and then I go to Insert, and then I just pick a graph. In this case, I picked a line graph that's going to show my historical data and how it grows over time, even though there was a small dip at the beginning of the chart. So again, Excel is very useful for charting survey results, sampling. So we have a number of statistical formulas that we use in there, and I will be introducing you to them as we go along in each chapter. There's also a good YouTube video that I can refer you to called Data Science and Statistics, and that talks about levels of measurement. This is by 365 Data Science, and that's a useful video that you might want to refer to when you're looking at this chapter. Sampling is the next subject that we get into, and the population here that we're looking at is for all items that we're interested in, while a sample is basically just a subset of that. And that is important because we often end up sampling a subset as opposed to the full population of data. So for sampling statistics, you want to sample n number of items, and for samples we use x for the sample mean, while p is going to be your sample population. So keep that in mind when you run into formulas for your samples. Again, you want to be looking at x for the sample mean and p for the sample population. Now when we get into populations, what we want to use is a parameter which is going to be the measurement of your population, and we often refer to it as capital N number of items. Here we use the symbol mu, that's going to be your population mean, and pi, the symbol pi, which you probably remember from previous math classes, that's going to be your population proportion. So there's another helpful YouTube called Methods 101 for Random Sampling, and that's by Pew Research. I would encourage you to take a look at that YouTube as well. That will help you with understanding a little bit better random sampling as we go through this chapter. Now, a target population is basically all the items or individuals that we are interested in, while sampling would be a group or a select few. So simple random samples, for example, is we want to pick a random number from, say, 1 to 15. There's actually a function in Excel that will let you do that. So you don't have to actually manually pick it at random. You can go ahead and use a formula. And the formula that you use is you start by typing equals rand between and then the population that you want to find the number at. So here I picked the population again between the cells D2 and D10, and all I did was did the formula by writing equals RAND between open parentheses D2 comma D10 and then close parentheses and enter. This is going to give me the value that I'm looking for as far as coming up with a rand between value for the formula. So fairly easy to do, so you don't have to sit here and do that manually. Excel has a ton of formulas that can help us in statistics, so I will be going through those as we go. Now, there are other sampling methods. There is a useful YouTube video you might want to refer to called Sampling 101 with Skittles by Michelle Wilkins, and this is a fun example. She does actually go through a bowl of Skittles and chooses them at random, and then does a sample study on them, which I found useful for students to be able to take a look and learn a little bit more about random sampling. There's also what's called non-random sampling, and that involves when you want to, you have prior knowledge of the sample that you want to do. So for example, one of these might be a judgment sample, when you might only want to say you want to survey certain students that you already know are wearing contact lenses, or already know that they're wearing glasses, and then you want to survey that crowd specifically for other results. Or you can also look at a focus group, so a group of individuals that you want to study in more depth, or also a convenience sample. So that would be an example of people who I already know might be using a certain product, and I want to further the knowledge that I want to study on that group specifically. We'll get more into sampling as the chapters go on, but this is a quick preview for this chapter. Hopefully you find that interesting.